to stop, Chuck.
I can't, my phone won't sync.
All right, good evening. I now call to order the Tuesday, October 14th meeting of the Sugar Land Planning and Zoning Commission. Good evening, commissioners. We will move to item 3, public comment. Is there anyone wishing to address the commission this evening?
No, there is not.
Great. With that, I'll move to item 4, minutes, consideration and action on the minutes of the September 25th, 2025 meeting. Minutes are in your packets. Any changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Brown, and we'll vote at this time.
The two most unique.
Pop quiz. And that carries unanimously. All right, we'll move to item 5, subdivision plat. 5A is consideration of and action on the approval of the DW Sugar Land Entry Reserve final plat. Jessica, it's all yours.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. So just an overview, just a quick one of the Rye Hill development. This is approximately 960-acre mixed-use master plan community in the city's ETJ, just south of Greatwood. It's a mix of approximately 2,300 single-family residential and Del Webb residential lots, and it also includes an approximately 60-acre tract north of FM 2759 that's slated for flex commercial uses. Since this plat has to do with Del Webb, the Del Webb portion of the community is restricted to 55 and up individuals, and it will be a gated community. This is just a map showing an overview of all the plats that the commission has reviewed and approved. Those shown in red are approved final plats that have since been recorded. Those shown in blue are preliminary plats that the commission has approved. The one in orange is the most recent plat that the commission reviewed. This is the replat of Rye Hill Parkway Section 2. This one was approved and signed by the city, but it has to go to the county for approval, so it has not yet been recorded yet, so that's why it's shown in orange. And then the one in green is the final plat under consideration tonight. So the overview for this plat is it's DW Sugar Land Entry Reserve. The preliminary plat for this section was approved by the commission back at the February 27th meeting with no conditions. It consists of 16.26 acres, and it includes 3 reserves and 1 block, no single-family residential lots. The 3 reserves are restricted to a lift station, a detention pond, and then private streets, including Webb Parkway, which serves as the collector roadway in the Del Webb community. This section is located south of FM 2759 and east of FM 762, and access to this section will be provided via Rye Hill Parkway. So here is a view of the section in relation to the Rye Hill general plans. You'll see that this is Rye Hill Parkway right here connecting to FM 762, and this is a roundabout, and this is where this section kind of interacts with Rye Hill Parkway. It'll be Webb Parkway coming down this way. Here's the detention pond that's restricted in one of the reserves, and then there is a lift station just south of that. So here is that section. As I was saying, this is Webb Parkway as it's connecting to Rye Hill Parkway, which has already been platted. Here is the detention pond, and here's the lift station. Those are the 3 reserves that are being included in this final plat. This right here is the approved preliminary plat from the February meeting, and here is the final plat. You'll see it's pretty much the exact same. Again, it's the reserve for the detention pond, the reserve for the lift station, and the private streets. Just as a reminder, since 2019, the Commission has 3 options when reviewing and approving preliminary and final plats. The Commission can approve with conditions, or disapprove an explanation. For both the approval with conditions and a disapproval with explanation, code has to be cited. The Commission has been provided a guide to help should you choose to do approve with conditions or disapprove with an explanation. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the proposed DW Sugar Land Entry Reserve final plat with no conditions.
Great, thank you, Jessica. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Hallbrook, anything? I can't quite see. Good. Chuck? Great. With that, I will make a motion to recommend, this is final approval. So I will recommend final approval of the DW Sugarland Entry Reserve and final plat. I have a second. We'll vote at this time. That passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, now we will move to item 6, which includes a public hearing and consideration of an action. So we'll begin with the public hearing. Then we will hear the presentation. Then we'll open the public hearing. Upon the conclusion of that, then we'll entertain discussion and action. So with that, Emily, take it away.
Beautiful. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having me once more. We'll go ahead and get into it again. So this is going to be the update, our proposed update for reducing or changing the maximum height requirement for the B1 zoning district. We are basically just removing that half-story caveat. This was the workshop item that we had touched base on the 9th. So I'll just kind of be going over that once more and answering any questions that y'all may have. So in response to City Council direction, Planning and Development Services team has been working to update the city's development code to encourage and support redevelopment within the city. Staff is currently in the initial stages of phase 4 of the project, which will take a closer look at the city's zoning, subdivision, parking, and sign codes. This project also works to support the city's strategic all-in initiatives by creating a more business and development-friendly regulatory environment and streamlining the development process. And then one development in particular shined a light on the need for change within our code, and this project was the Offices of Greatwood, which is a multi-story office park development located off of US 59 and Greatwood Parkway. This multi-phase development project broke ground while under the jurisdiction of Fort Bend County, a jurisdiction without zoning, and then was subsequently annexed into the city of Sugar Land at the tail end of 2017. Once this property was subsequently annexed into the city, it was then subject to the zoning regulations found in Chapter 2 of the Development Code. This presented itself to be a challenge for the development, as this project was in compliance with the county's development regulation, as the county only reviews against the fire code for compliance, but it was not in compliance with the city's development regulations, as the project did not conform with the 2.5-story caveat of the B1 zoning district. The Offices of Greatwood highlighted the importance of aligning the city's zoning code with our building and fire codes, and this would help clarify the development regulations and streamline this process. And then that brings me to the item overview, with the purpose of this item being to consider and then act on a proposed amendment to Section 2-92, and more specifically, Table 2-92.1 of the City of Sugar Land Development Code, with the intention of this code update being to enhance the clarity and consistency of the development code and simplify the maximum height requirement of the B1 zoning district. And then the next slide is going to be the redlined version of the changes. So the only change that's being proposed is removing the half-story caveat while still remaining the numeric height requirement intact at 35 feet. And through this change, we're aiming to align the height requirements established through zoning with the requirements established through the fire and building codes, as those codes do not recognize a half-story within their regulations. And then this is going to be the table with the proposed amendments. And again, while the half-story requirement has been removed from the table, the B1 zoning district still has the same numeric height allowance at 35 feet in height. And then this project works to support the city's strategic action plan, and specifically the fostering sensitive redevelopment and stimulating economic growth all-in initiatives. This would allow the city to create a more business and development-friendly regulatory environment, cultivate and strengthen our relationships within our development community, and to prepare the city for future redevelopment opportunities. And then the next slide is going to touch on the proposed timeline for the project. So staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Commission hold a public hearing with consideration and action and provide a recommendation of approval at tonight's meeting on October 14th. With that recommendation of approval, the item would then later be presented to City Council on their November 4th meeting for first reading, and then again on November 18th for their second meeting. And then with that being said, I am here to answer any questions that y'all may have pertaining to this.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Anything?
I have a question on the maximum height.
Yes, sir.
You took out the 2.5 stories. So now you can bring in a 3-story and put a flat roof on it?
Hypothetically, yes, it would depend on your design professionals, but if there was the flat roof,
Chair,
they could.
I think we should hold a public hearing before we move on to.
I totally skipped over that. I apologize. Thank you. Let's do that. I apologize. So we will hold a public hearing and receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on the proposed changes to Chapter 2, Article 2, Table 2-9, 2.1 of the Development Code. And is there anyone that is either signed up
No, Chair, there is not.
or wishing to address the commission? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and we'll move on to questions. Commissioner Holbrook.
Okay, the question is, can you go to a 3-story with a flat roof and still be under 35?
So potentially, yes, as long as you had good design professionals, you could hypothetically meet the 3 stories.
Okay.
Great. Commissioner Patel? Commissioner Dabu?
I just have a clarifying question. So in in one of your first slides, you had indicated that this is somewhat being driven by Greatwood when it was annexed, so now it's out of compliance, correct?
So this was a multi-phased project. So the first phase was completed, but they have not moved forward and completed the second phase of the project. So it's kind of stalled out for the moment.
Okay, so it's sort of allowing them then to go forward with this second phase of their project,
So yes,
correct?
this would allow, yes, ma'am.
And so are there any other, since this is going to be a part of the development code, are there any other then locations that would be impacted by this or any other further developments that would be impacted by this change?
So not any that are currently under review at this time, but this would allow for a lot more flexibility and this would allow for a lot more grace as far as like the design professionals. So this would allow for a lot more redevelopment to happen within the city and for us to align our codes with the fire and the building code.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Commissioner Bree? Commissioner Brown? All right, with that, I will make a motion to recommend approval on the proposed changes to Chapter 2, Article 2, Table 2-92.1 of the Development Code to the mayor and city council.
Second?
I have a second from Commissioner Brown, and we'll vote at this time. All right, thank you. That passes 7-0. Now we'll move on to item 7, reports, Planning and Zoning Commission liaison reports. I believe Commissioner Smith had October the 7th.
There's nothing to report. It was all a
Okay,
very short meeting, actually.
great. We'll move on to item B, 7B, city staff report. Lisa, Jessica?
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. Next week is going to be the Texas APA Planning Conference in College Station. That's going to be through the 22nd through the 24th, so we look forward to seeing most of you there over the conference. And then your next meeting is going to be October 30th. That's going to be a different week. The meeting was originally scheduled while we were going to be at conference, so we'd gotten with you guys. So it's going to be same time on October 30th. So we'll see you then. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else?
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Lisa, is it possible to vote on receiving?
Can you turn your mic on?
Is it possible to vote on getting our packets back to delivering at our home?
So I'll be happy to talk with y'all offline about that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Thanks, Lisa. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
And we are adjourned. Thank you.
She seconded.